Hello girls and boys, how's it going? So it's the start of the year and you are probably looking to change your job, right? However, you're probably not getting the desired response so far. In fact, you're pretty disappointed at what is going on. The goal of the resume is not to get selected. The goal of the resume is not to impress the interviewer. The goal of the resume is to plant enough questions in the interviewer's mind so that when he or she asks you the question, you have the answer to those questions. Now, typically one of the first questions asked in an interview is something like this: tell me something about yourself. Or hey, describe to me how your ideal day looks like. How do you respond to this? Not by a large ramble, but by offering the question to the interviewer using the inception technique. What do I mean? You use a structure for this. And what is the structure? It is, hello girls and boys, how's it going? So it's the start of the year and you are probably looking to change your job, right? However, you're probably not getting the desired response so far. In fact, you're pretty disappointed at what is going on. Maybe you're not getting the calls. If you're getting the calls, you're not able to crack the interviews and you're not even able to figure out what the heck is going wrong. This is exactly the video that you should watch. I will talk about 3 things in this video. 3 things to check in your resume, 3 things to check in your introduction, 3 things to change in your project description in the interview, and 3 things to check in the interview closing. So as you're going through this process, go through this video very carefully and make notes, jot down some points and reflect on these, and with the help of these, you should be able to crack your dream job. Let's get started. But before we do that, if you're new here on this channel, my name is Savinder Puri and I've been in the build, release, DevOps, software engineering space for over 2 decades. I'm currently Associate VP, DevSecOps and SRE with a major system integrator. You can check out my LinkedIn profile to know more about my credentials. One more request from my side. If you like the contents of this channel, of this video, please do subscribe. It helps me quite a lot. It motivates our team quite a lot. So let's get started. Now, typically one of the first questions asked in an interview is something like this: tell me something about yourself. Or hey, describe to me how your ideal day looks like. Something to that effect. What is actually happening here? I tell you, the interviewer is gaining time to look at your resume for the first time and figure out what is the first real question to ask you. Why is that? Because they are busy people, they've probably not had the time to look at your resume. How do you respond to this? Not by a large ramble, but by offering the question to the interviewer using the inception technique. What do I mean? You use a structure for this. And what is the structure? It is present, past, future. Let me explain. Present. Who are you? For 30 seconds. It talks about your current role, your success metrics, and one recent achievement. Let me give you some examples. So for a current role, you say, hey, I am a B computer science pass out from 2024 with a CGPA of 9.8. My success metrics include internships done, contribution to open source with your GitHub link, which should be in your resume, papers published in reputed magazines, any hackathons won, stuff like that. What is your recent achievement? This is my my score at a competitive programming competition that I took. Now, one caution here. If your CGPA is not worth talking about, don't start from there. If your GitHub profile has only 5 entries in the last 1 year, don't talk about it. Talk about stuff which is relevant to you and which makes you look good. And if you don't have anything here to talk about, girls and boys, you have a problem. It is time to wake up and smell the coffee. Go back to the drawing board, put in some efforts, create something tangible, and then add it to this section. For an experienced person, you can say something like this: I'm currently DevOps lead at so-and-so, focused on enterprise customer in the UK and Europe. My primary responsibilities include customer interaction and creating their technology solutions. A recent win I'd like to highlight is where I created a release and environment management strategy for cloud native and legacy stacks for one of the Europe's large retailers and helped close a $500 million deal. Next section, past. How you got here. 30 seconds only. This is to identify 2 or 3 attributes for the role that you're applying for and match your experience to those attributes and highlight one key movement from that experience. Let me give you an example. If you're a fresher, you can say something like, as the chairperson of our college IEEE wing, I'm responsible for the budget and accounting for our yearly grants. In 2024, I could do a saving of about 18% due to various optimization measures that I took. Now, be careful here. You're not telling what optimization measures you took. That's planting the seed in the interviewer's mind. For an experienced person, you can say something like, my front-facing customer experience combined with about 50-60 customer pitches that I've done in the last 2 years has won our organization X million dollars of new business, which demonstrates a sound understanding of my technology domain, the geographies that I support. Along with my technology acumen and my business understanding, I'm sure I can further help your organization grow as well. The third part, future. This is even more crisper at 20 seconds. So fresher, as someone who's been managing our college's hackathon program, I've been fortunate to use the concepts learned in my courses and apply them in practical solutions. The 3 open source projects that I've done also supplement my understanding. Something along those lines. One caveat that I want to put here, all of these are hypothetical examples that I'm giving you to give you an exact idea of what you can say. Obviously, do not take it as it is and say it. Match it to your experience, to your profile, to your expertise. But hopefully, this gives you an idea of present, past, future, 30 second, 30 second, 20 second. This is a great format for answering the question, tell me something about yourself. So 3 things to fix in your project explanation. Now, this is a place where I see most of the resumes being botched up. Why do I say that? Or even in the interviews, when you ask a specific question, this is where things go hairy. Because when we ask a question about a project or your contribution in that project, a lot of the people give a 2, 3, 5 minute monologue. A good structure to this question is describe the project details in 1 or 2 sentences and then focus on what you did in the project. I'll give you a formula for this. It's the XYZ bullet point formula. What do you mean? Accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. An example, I helped increase developer productivity by 30% by implementing reusable CI/CD pipeline templates across projects, thereby reducing the setup time and reducing the manual errors. You get the flow of this? Use this formula. 3 things to fix in your interview closing. Now, this is one of the most underrated parts of the interview, most neglected part, but this could be a make or break for you. This is the section where the interviewer asks you, hey, do you have any questions for us? And about 70-80% of the time, people say, no, not really, I do not have any questions. So let me give you 2 scenarios here. One scenario, if you want to play safe, you can ask some standard questions. Things like, hey, what are the key immediate challenges for this role that you want to be solved? Or you can say, what does success look like for me in the first about 90 days? Or you can say, are there any mentorship programs that the organization provides for continual learning? These are very safe questions that you can ask. But if you're feeling adventurous and if you want to make things spicy, I'll give you some questions for that as well. Number 1, do you have any concerns about my qualifications or my experience that I could not address in the interview? Now, use this very carefully. Use this only if you're very, very confident in asking that question. But this is a point where you can turn around the entire interview. I'll give you an example. In one of the previous interviews that I'd done several years back, they had asked me to describe one technical problem that I had faced in the last 1 week and how I overcame that. And my answer to that wasn't very great answer. It wasn't a very technically challenging enough problem that I described. And when I was asked this question, I said, hey, maybe when you asked me the question to describe the most technical challenge that I had seen, I probably didn't give the best answer. Do I have an opportunity to repeat that answer to you? They said yes, and that's when I brought up the right answer. So this one question can completely turn around your interview. Second question, how has your role evolved since you joined the company? Now use this if the interview has gone well and you're liking the interviewer and you want to establish a personal connection with the interviewer. Use this carefully. Third question is when you've done technically very well, but you think on maybe communication, on leadership, on certain softer elements, you think you have not performed at the highest. So you can ask a question like, can you share what qualities other than technology are important to succeed in this role? And when they give you answers like, let's say, leadership, communication, customer focus, things like that, you can pick up one and you say, hey, maybe I think when you asked me about my customer focus, I could not bring out the right examples. Is it okay if I share one more example now? So these are some of the things that you can use and you can think about in your past interviews, and hopefully it gives you enough suggestions to fix things which are broken in your interview giving process. 3 things to fix in your resume. Firstly, take your resume, zoom out of the resume and close your eyes and have a look at the resume. How does it look like? Does it look clean enough? Is the formatting good enough? Are the sections easily recognizable? Or does it look like a hodgepodge? Now, zoom in a little bit and look at your profile for 3 seconds and see what are the 3-4 keywords that pop out from your resume. Those are exactly the things which a potential recruiter will look at, because that's exactly how long a professional recruiter will look at your profile, not more than 3 or 4 seconds. That's the reality of it. The second tip on a resume, your resume should not be more than 1 page. The resume is the advertisement to your entire career. It is not the full movie with the full climax and 3 sharp turns in your career. You don't have to talk all of that. Maximum 2 pages, not more than that. At above 20 years of experience, my resume still is 1 page, because it has enough teasers for the recruiter, for the hiring manager to ask me the questions. Third and the most important tip, what is the goal of the resume? The goal of the resume is not to get selected. The goal of the resume is not to impress the interviewer. The goal of the resume is to plant enough questions in the interviewer's mind so that when he or she asks you the question, you have the answer to those questions. That's how you should structure your resume. Give enough information, but leave out one critical detail. And that's the question that should be asked. This is called the inception technique. I have a detailed video on this. I will link it in the pinned comment.